Testing, just making sure the audio is working. Let me go ahead and share my screen as well. Testing, just making sure the audio is working. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Testing. Oh, gotta stop this one. It's gonna be, I think it's this one. All right, so let me just, I was trying to give people a little bit of time to get in. Let me just check one more time. I'll go ahead and get this student. Update my attendance. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get the party started. Get this. All right, okay. Let's see. So I'll check attendance again at the 15-minute mark. Class starts at 4, so we're gonna go with this, okay? All right, so welcome, gentlemen. This is College Algebra 1 with Mr. Phifer. Let's start with the syllabus. So this is our Blackboard. This is our main landing page, and our syllabus is gonna be on this left-hand side right here. So again, welcome. Hopefully we're all in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing with the right people. Again, I'm Mr. Phifer. This is College Algebra 1 with online lab, right? So there's a lab component to this course. For our purposes, for me, we're gonna be using my math lab and to do our homework, quizzes, and exams. Just as a quick little blurb, so on our main landing page on Blackboard, to access My Math Lab, when you open up this main folder, My Math Lab is going to be in that folder number 3 that says assignments, right? So that's how we're going to be doing our homework, quizzes, and exams. But there is a lab component to this course, and that's run by my colleague, Dr. Lamar. And so on our Blackboard page, when we log into our course, on the left-hand panel, there's a link that says Online Alex Lab. So you use that to access the lab. That's going to count as 10% of your overall grade. So basically what you do is you would reach out to her, follow her instructions. Whatever grade she gives to me for each of you all, I'm going to factor that into your overall grade as 10% of your overall grade. Okay. As we go through the presentation, if anything is not clear, feel free to either unmute yourself or type in the chat on Zoom. I am monitoring the chat in the Zoom, and feel free to unmute yourself. Also, be aware that I am recording the session and I'm live streaming it to my YouTube channel. How might you access my YouTube channel, might you ask? Okay. So shameless plug, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube with your notifications turned on. That's the main hub on how I communicate with students as far as like responding to questions, video lectures, and things of that nature. So you can access it from Blackboard, and that item number 4 that says Beautiful Mind Phifer's YouTube channel. My YouTube is Beautiful Mind Phifer. This link takes you to a playlist for all the lectures for the semester. We'll explore this a little bit. We'll explore this more a little bit later on in this presentation today. Okay. So again, I'm Mr. Phifer. A little bit about me. I'm an alum of Morehouse. I graduated from Morehouse in 2006. I earned a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics, and then I earned a Master of Science in Applied Mathematics from Florida Institute of Technology in 2011. I don't have my doctorate. I probably should go for it, but I just haven't for whatever reasons. So I do go by Mr. Phifer. You can contact my email is basically my first name dot last name at morehouse.edu. When it comes to my email, it's always a good idea to email me if you have questions about things. But if I don't respond promptly, then just remind me or bring it to my attention during our next scheduled meeting. A brief overview about the structure of our course is that this is remote asynchronous. And so what that means is that most of the learning is done on your own individually. Through the use of my math lab, and they explain how to do most of the questions. I've made my pre-recorded lectures for each section for the entire semester is already available in that playlist that I just showed you a moment ago. So anything that I would say in a lecture, if we were together, you can actually already access it right now in that link that I showed you for my YouTube. So the pre-recorded lectures are loaded for the entire semester. And in that link for my math lab, the homework and quizzes for the entire semester are available as well. The only thing I staggered the release of are our exams, okay? So hopefully we're all aboard and we're not all aboard. We'll go into more details on those a little bit later. Again, but if you do have questions, feel free to unmute yourself or type in the chat on Zoom. I am monitoring the chat in the Zoom, okay? Let me check and see if I have anybody in my waiting room real quick. Looks like there is somebody. Let me give them credit for attendance. Let me make a statement about attendance. That was that student right there. So typically what I do, you will need an access code for my math lab. No. So let me go a little bit deeper with my math lab. To access my math lab is from Blackboard, right? So you should be able to see my screen. So if we go to our Blackboard, we open up that main folder. And then if we go down to item number 3 where it says assignments, so we open that, that's how we access my math lab. There's no course ID. There are 2 things that I need to mention with my math lab. One, if you've used my math lab in the past and it's the same book, when you click on this link to register, if you just log in with your old credentials, again, if you've used my math lab before and it was the exact same book, you don't have to purchase access again. If you do need to purchase access, when you click on that link on Blackboard and you basically fill out the prompts for a student, you register as a student, on the page where you're prompted for payment, at the bottom of that page is going to be a link that says get 14 days of temporary access. You want to go ahead and use that 14-day trial because in the night we received an email from the administrators encouraging us to encourage you all to use the 14-day trial because they're negotiating a reduced price in the full access for my math lab. In the past, the full price was like $120, right? Maybe $130 would cover it. So they're trying to
Morehouse.
So, but you definitely want to go ahead and get started because once you successfully get past the payment page with the temporary access, it's going to look like the following. So here we have I went on and made all homeworks and all quizzes for the entire semester available. So for instance, for week 1, you see section 1.1 graphs and equations along with the corresponding quiz is already available and is due this upcoming Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. Right? So assignments are due on a weekly basis. Again, I went on and made all homework and quizzes for the entire semester available. If you look, you see week 1 is available, week 2 is available, Week 3 is available, and then it skips over to week 5. So what do you think happens at week 4? Why do you think week 4 is not available? So week 4 is not available because that's when I anticipate to do exam 1, right? And it's going to cover sections 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3, right? So we're basically doing one section a week. A lot of the learning is done independently and on your own. If you notice, it skips over week 8 because that's going to be our exam 2. And it skips over week 12 because that's going to be our exam 3. And then we also have the final. Yeah. Okay. So again, hopefully we're all aboard and we're not all bored. And if anything is not clear, feel free to either unmute yourself or type in the chat and type your question in the chat and we can talk about it. Okay. So you guys have successfully made it over the first main hurdle of finding your way into the Zoom, right? That's the first challenge. Some students, it seems like the Zoom app was not installed in their Morehouse portal. And so they weren't able to log into Zoom. So that was causing a lot of confusion. You know, I'm a little bit lax from like the first couple of sessions because obviously we're all trying to, you know, work out the kinks and, you know, get through all the details, you know. And usually what I do, again, we meet Monday, Wednesday from 4 to 4:50. So we only meet for 50 minutes, and that time is very precious. So I do the best I can to try to start class right at 4. I take attendance right at 4, generally speaking. I'll do my first wave of attendance, you know, right at 4. And then I signed in, but nothing, but through my personal, hopefully that's not my math lab. So with my math lab, I mean, if you used it before, where it's if you use my math lab before and it's the same book, you can do that, but it's still best to use your Morehouse email and your student credentials. But if that gives you full access, and that's fine, just make sure your official student name is showing. So when I go to pull the data, I can make sure that you get credit. But if you do have to purchase access, then you definitely want to register. Just create an account with your Morehouse credentials. Yeah. And so if we meet at 4, I do the first wave at 4, and then about 15 minutes later, I'll check my waiting room, and I'll look for a second wave of students. Beyond that second wave, like usually the students that make it into that second wave, I still give them full attendance credit. But then beyond that, like once you start showing up 20 minutes late, 30 minutes late on up, then I may or may not let you into the Zoom. You may or may not get attendance credit. How do I sign into Pearson? So from Blackboard, right? When we log into Blackboard into our course, it should look like this. You should be able to see my screen. And then we open up this main folder. And then we go down to item number 3 where it says assignments. We click on assignments, that folder. And then the first item, it says My Lab Math, all assignments. That's where the homework, quizzes, and exams are going to be. But again, you want to register as a student using your Morehouse credentials. But the recommendation is on the page where you're prompted for payment, you want to click on the Get 14 Days of Temporary Access. Unless you've used my math lab before with the same book, then you shouldn't have to purchase full access again. We use this book for 3 different courses, for College Algebra 1, College Algebra 2, and Pre-Calculus, right? So if any of your professors use my math lab and you use this exact same book, that's 3 classes where you only have to purchase full access once, right? So that was the reasoning behind all of that. Okay, so we talked about how I do attendance. Another thing about attendance is that this is a 2-credit course. So what that means is that we're allowed up to 2 unexcused absences. Once we hit that 3rd unexcused absence, we potentially could be dropped from the course. We might have a difficult time getting back into the course if we're able to get back in at all. And then that can really affect our money, right? So in order to not, disrupt people's money, the best practice is, to just be in the Zoom waiting room about 5 minutes before the start of class. Let me take the attendance. And then you can kind of chill. I don't really hound you guys too terribly much. Again, the structure of this course is remote asynchronous, where most of the learning is going to be done on your own. I've had students in all of my other courses, they started a group meet. I think that's a fantastic idea. Like in the chat in Zoom, they was like, hey, I'm gonna start this group meet. If anybody wants to join, here's the link, use your number, all this other kind of stuff, right? I think it's a great idea because, again, a lot of the learning is independent. So you do what you can on your own. And then once you've kind of hit that limit or wall on what you can do on your own, then you might want to try to connect with one of your classmates, right? And as a general rule of thumb, it's always a good idea to have at least the contact of at least 2 different classmates in all of your classes. So, but again, I encourage you to group me. I think it's a great idea. So you've done what you can on your own. You've done what you can with your classmates. The next line of defense are the tutors, right? The tutoring service is included in your tuition, so you've already paid the tutors. 9 times out of 10, they're just waiting for you guys to show up and ask questions. And if you really need help or support, you can honestly take this material, take your device or whatever, and sit down with the tutor and say, hey, can we work on this together? Can we go line by line, right? And and then so if you've done what you can on your own, you've done what you can with your classmates, you've done what you can with the tutor, and it's still not sinking in, that's the best time to ask me. Making use of the Ask My Instructor tool in my math lab. But because what I've experienced is when students ask me directly without doing all the other stuff, and I give them the explanation, it goes right over their head. They're like, what? What is this? But if you've been frustrated for a little bit, you've collaborated with your classmates, you've collaborated with the tutors. When I give the exact same presentation, you can see the light bulb go off. They were like, oh, that's what I was doing wrong, right? But if you haven't been doing anything, then it's a lot harder for that concept to sink in a lot of times, okay? Let me check and see if I have anybody in the waiting room. We are at the 15-minute mark, and it looks like we do. Let me get the student credit. That looks good there. And I just want to hop back here. Okay. So we talked about the lab component that counts for 10% of your overall grade. That's with Dr. Lamar. Again, on the main landing page on Blackboard, on the left-hand panel, there's a link that says Online Alex Tool. You click on that, you contact Dr. Lamar, and follow her instructions for the lab component. We meet from August 16th to December 8th. So that December 8th is the hard deadline for all assignments, right? So when it comes to my math lab, I personally like the way I have it structured. I feel like if I were a student in my class, it would be kind of a freebie. It's a lot of work, but there's a feasible route to an A. Like if I really wanted an A, and I felt like if I was a student in my class, I could get an A. I feel like anybody that really, really wants an A in my class, they can do it. There are some classes where you want an A, and this is despite your best efforts, you just cannot seem to get the points in that class, right? So I say that to say, when it comes to our assignments, all assignments on my math lab, I'm totally exhausted, guys. I've been talking since 9 this morning, so you have to bear with me. Again, the recordings, the lectures, the things that I would say are already available, so I'm going to have to lean on those a lot of times. But when it comes to the assignments in my math lab, all assignments we get unlimited attempts. The system is set to take your highest score. There's an inherent extension built into all assignments, right? So we can submit any assignment late, but there is a 10% late penalty for anything we submit late, right? And so I brought that up because the hard deadline for all the assignments is that Friday, December 8th at the end of the week of finals, right? So even though assignments are due every week, like 1.1 is due this Sunday, 1.2 is due the following Sunday, 1.3 is due the Sunday after that, yada, yada, yada. You can still submit any of those assignments late, but any question that you submit late, the highest you can earn is a 90. Okay, but the hard deadline for all assignments is that Friday, December 8th. I can't really accept anything past that date because then I have to start calculating final grades and turning them in and submitting things of that nature. Okay, so again, hopefully we're all aboard and we're not all bored. If you have questions, feel free. I know I'm saying I'm a lot. I just don't care because I'm totally exhausted. And I know when you're doing presentations like this, it's recommended to not say but again, I just want to go to sleep. I'm so tired, but it's okay. So again, you guys have made it past the first main hurdle of making your way into the Zoom. So that's the first challenge. That means your email, your Morehouse email is working properly. Everything is working properly. So that's good. Everybody doesn't have that luxury, right? My office hours for the fall of 23 are basically Mondays and Wednesdays from 10 to noon via Zoom and other times by appointment. But because I structured my courses to be remote asynchronous, meaning that most of the learning is done on your own, we can actually use class time as an unofficial office hours. So if you want to work on homework together, we can, or if you want to work on like any quizzes or exams pertaining to this course together, we can do that also during class. But if you guys don't have questions and things of that nature, then more than likely, I'll probably like do the corresponding lecture. I'll just do a live version of the lecture. But again, anything that I say live during a lecture is already in those pre-recorded lectures. It's the same thing. And like, it's pretty much the same delivery, right? So I a lot of times I just do the lectures live to fill the dead air, but all the details are in those pre-recorded lectures. Again, I'll remind you on how to access that once we get to the syllabus. I'm even starting to lose my voice. I've been talking so much. Let me see. So there are two types of people in this world, those that believe they can and those that believe they cannot. Both are correct. Which one are you, right? So Henry Ford. We talked about the Zoom. So the prerequisite, I think for the way it's set up now is basically through the placement exam. And so you all, for this course, you also have the lab component with Dr. Lamar, right? Again, that's access on Blackboard on the left-hand panel and the burgundy panel, okay? So these are the learning objectives, like how to construct and graph and identify intercepts and slopes of a line, intercepts, domain and range, interval, extrema, relative extrema. What do we mean by even and odd function or piecewise defined functions? What we want to go through, like transformations, combining functions and composition of functions, right? So you can kind of read through this, and this is what we're going to be going through. Again, anything that I would say in the lecture is already available in that playlist on my YouTube channel. If you're just joining us, I would definitely encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube. My YouTube is Beautiful Mind Phifer. And basically I use that for and again, there's also a link on Blackboard, but I use that basically for like communicating with students. Again, all my full lectures are there. I'm going to make another playlist where like for instance, this session and all of my sessions for the fall of 23, I'm going to put all of my sessions into one playlist, and then you can kind of pull it from there. So, but the full lectures are already in a separate playlist, and so that's the one that's on Blackboard right now, and I'm going to make another playlist for these sessions. But then you'll also find some other Easter eggs on my YouTube in the form of gaming, because I'm a gamer, so periodically I still haven't worked out the kinks on or the nuance of live streaming my games because I'm mobile, it's like it causes too much lag. And so, obviously I can't play if the game is lagging. So what I'll do as of late is just record the screen and just load them, and you can kind of watch some of my gameplay. Yeah, so that's a little bit about my YouTube. Also, again, that link is on Blackboard at the bottom. As far as the grading rationale, so what you guys are going to be doing with me is what you see in purple. So your homework counts for 10%, your quizzes count for 10%, your tests count for 60%, and your final counts for 20%. That's going to total 100%, right? So I'm going to calculate our portion of your grade based on that purple, but then I'm going to scale it so that it counts for 90% of your overall grade. So I'm going to say whatever your score is after I do that calculation, I'm going to say times 0.9. The other 10% comes from the lab with Dr. Lamar, okay? Again, hopefully, if you have questions, let me see, hopefully everything is clear. Let me see, the group me, so I see somebody starting to group me. I think that's a fantastic move. I think it's a good idea. If anything is not clear, feel free to either unmute yourself to stop me and get my attention and we can talk about it, or type in the chat. I do monitor the chat, so you can use that as well, okay? The grading rationale is that basically 90s are A's, 80s are B's, 70s are C's. Officially passing the course at Morehouse is going to be a C or better. I personally typically don't give out C minuses. That's just like half a point or something like that, or maybe 1 or 2 points, something like that. I feel like giving out a C minus is just sticking it to that student because that student's going to have to redo the course. So I usually don't give out that. I try to encourage the student to submit some additional missing assignment or whatever to make sure that we get them into the passing range. Um, a D. Now, some courses allow you to move forward with a D, but many courses do not allow you to move forward with a D. So we'll do the best we can to try to keep the least amount of people in that D and F range and try to get as many people in that passing range as possible. But sometimes it's totally out of my control. Like there's nothing I can do, right? People are MIA, no show, no call, or not submitting things or getting low scores and low marks. Like if it's unlimited attempts, the only reason anybody would really get a low score is they just don't care. But if you really cared and you wanted to get a high score, it's unlimited attempts, right? I mean, even on the quizzes and the exams. Like that's huge. That's huge. I wish I had unlimited attempts on assignments, right? So, and you get a 10%, it's only a 10% late penalty. Like it's almost a freebie, but I've been doing this with this structure for at least 2 years now. And everybody doesn't blow it out of the water. Some students, it's a cakewalk. Some, life happens, right? It just doesn't work for everybody. So on my end, I feel like, well, since everybody's not just blowing this out of the water, I don't mind with this slightly lax setup. Because the nature of this stuff is difficult in and of itself. It's not that the concepts are hard or challenging. It's really more a thing of time management and prioritization, your ability to like prioritize things and make a plan and take action. It's not difficult. It's the structure is very simple. It's just not easy because of the time management, right? Hopefully that makes sense. It's simple, but it's not easy. Again, with this being a 2-credit course, when it comes to attendance, we're allowed up to 2 unexcused absences. Once we hit that 3rd unexcused absence, we potentially could be dropped from the course, and that could really mess up our funds if we're here on scholarship, this and the other. Let me get this student that came late. And so typically I let you all in one by one because I'm taking attendance as I let you all in. And I'm giving everybody attendance credit for right now. I acknowledge that like it's our first week and, we're trying to, it's okay, right? Because I know I had some pretty bizarre cases. It was a student that was genuinely trying to get in. And I mean, he went so far to he went to the math office. I was like, hey, I can't join the Zoom. And so he got the department chair to log in on his behalf. And he was there. He was there watching. I saw his face and everything. But it turned out that his Morehouse portal was missing the Zoom link. So it wouldn't allow him to log in. So we had to get to the bottom of why he couldn't log in. And I think we came up with a feasible plan to get him up to date. Basically, I sent him to Office of Information Technology. It's the OIT in the basement of Cell Hall, and they kind of straighten stuff like that out. Okay, so we talked about attendance. Let's keep moving forward. You have to bear with me again. I've been kind of talking about this stuff since 9 this morning. I still got one more class that's an hour and a half long after you all at 7. So, and I'm already kind of running on fumes a little bit here, but it's okay. Again, with the textbook, so we're going to be using My Math Lab. Again, with My Math Lab, we're using that for homework, quizzes, and exams, but it also comes with an e-textbook, a digital textbook, right? So it says a live broadcast of Zoom has stopped. This is the working link for those who just joined. It must be for GroupMe. Let me make sure my screen is working. Share my screen. Start the broadcast. Okay, optimize the video. Let's hop back here. I'm gonna go like this. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so we're gonna be using My Math Lab. It comes with a digital copy of the entire book. So it comes with the e-textbook. So the main thing is that you want to gain full access to My Math Lab. And so again, on the page where you're prompted for payment, right now at the bottom of that page, you want to go ahead and click on get 14 days of temporary access because the administrators are negotiating with Pearson right now to see if they can get a reduced price for the full access. Yeah. Okay, let's see what else. So, and you do have at least 2 assignments that are due this Sunday night by 11:59. right? So we're going to touch back on that in just a moment. And then what you see on the screen now is a pretty accurate schedule for the semester, right? Week 1 is section 1.1. It's just section 1.1. That's this week. And that's something that's due Sunday night at 11:59. Next week, we're just going to focus on section 1.2 lines. So typically what I do is like on Mondays, I might do some version of the live lecture. Whatever we don't talk about together, you're responsible for going to my YouTube and watching the corresponding pre-recorded lecture. And then on Wednesdays, I usually take that entire day to go through as many homework questions. But what you'll notice is that it's the same questions for each student, but the numbers change, right? So each student needs to, like if you follow, you can follow along with what we do in class, but everybody still needs to submit their own homework and quizzes because you're going to have your own set of unique numbers. Notice that it skips over week 4, right? Because week 4 is when we can anticipate exam 1. Week 8, it skips over week 8, so that's when we can anticipate exam 2. Week 12 is where we can anticipate exam 3, and then the final is after all of this. Right? We have some holidays in there, Thanksgiving holidays and some other things, but yeah. Okay. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. Okay. All right, let me check on you guys' Zoom moment. I'll check the chat. I think the chat looks good actually. We talked about how to sign in to Pearson. There's a GroupMe link. Yes. Okay. So yeah, I think GroupMe is a good idea. Okay. So again, I went on to schedule the homework for the entire, all the homework and all the quizzes for the entire semester are available right now, but their due dates are staggered, right? So for instance, 1.1 is due this Sunday. So the homework and quiz for 1.1 is due this Sunday. The homework and quiz for 1.2 is due the following Sunday. The homework and quiz for section 1.3 is due the Sunday after that. So on and so on and so on, right? If we get into that boat of submitting assignments late, the highest we can earn on any question submitted late is a 90%. Again, we talked about the 3 exams and the comprehensive final. Also, just to kind of reiterate, when it comes to our assignments on My Math Lab, we get unlimited attempts. The system is set to take our highest score. There's an inherent or automatic extension built into all assignments. So even though the assignments are due on a weekly basis, we can submit any assignment late, but any question that we submit late, the highest we can earn on that question is a 90%. And again, I think the system is set to take your highest score, right? Yes, go ahead, Mr. Franklin.
I wanted to ask, where do we find the links for My Math Lab?
Okay.
Is it on Blackboard or you just send an email to us?
It's on Blackboard, right? So if we go into Blackboard and let's start at the landing page. So when you log into Blackboard, it should look like this. And then we open up that main folder. And so if you scroll down to item number 3, where it says assignments, you open up that folder. And then you want to click on the first item where it says all assignments. Yeah, so you register as a student. On the page where you're prompted for payment, be sure to click on the get 14 days of temporary access, because if you give us a couple of days, potentially it might be a reduced cost full price, right? In the past, the full cost is maybe $120. So hopefully we can get it to cost less than that. So just go ahead and get the temporary access. And then also, just so you guys can see, so once you get past the payment page, it looks like this, right? And you can see for week 1 for the homework and quiz, for 1.1, the homework and quiz, those are due this Sunday at 11:59. So that's why you want to get your temporary access and go ahead and get started on these assignments. Yeah, that's an excellent question, excellent question. Ooh, all right, and fade in. Okay, let's keep going. So we talked about the makeup policy with the automatic extension. And again, with the automatic extension, the hard deadline for all assignments is that Friday, December 8th. That's basically the Friday at the end of the week of finals. Okay. Typically the final, well, we'll talk more about the structure of the final exam for this when we get closer to it, because it might be a little bit different than what's normal. So, but for right now, it is what it is. We have our holidays here with like Labor Day, the fall break, You might want to make note of the last day to withdraw is Monday, October 23rd. So if you're just like not confident and you don't think you can do it, then it's there. But I do acknowledge that many students, don't really have a choice. It's like do or die. So that's another reason why I'm comfortable with like the unlimited attempts. Honestly, anybody that wants an A, that really, really wants an A, there's a fee. Because as long as you just keep doing it, if you get a score and you don't like it, you can do it again and improve the score. And like even if it's late and you've scored less than a 90, you can still improve the score. You see what I'm saying? So anybody that really wants an A, there's a feasible, tangible way to get it for the scores, right? Even if you don't like math or not good at math, you can still do it. So we talked about withdrawal, Thanksgiving holiday. So that Wednesday, the 22nd, I think that's a half day. School closes at noon. And so we're not going to meet that day because this is afternoon, right? The last day of class is Wednesday, November 23rd. And then the final exam is basically that first full week of December. Notice again, the hard deadline for all assignments is that Friday, December 8th. And that's supposed to say 2023. So I forgot to change that date. That was the only one I missed. We talked about attendance. Because it's a 2-credit course, we're allowed up to 2 unexcused absences. Once we hit that 3rd unexcused absence, then it could mess with our money, right? If you need special accommodations, you would contact this number at the end of this disability service part portion, and they'll give you a letter that you can like forward to me, and we can make sure that you're accommodated. But the exams and everything, you get unlimited attempts, and you can do it in whatever environment you're comfortable with. So you essentially have unlimited time. You have the whole semester. Now, again, the exams, I scheduled or I staggered the release of those. So exam 4 doesn't become available until we get to week 4. Exam 2 doesn't become available until we get to week 8. But then once it become available, the usual rules apply. Because this is remote, I mean, obviously I don't mind if you're using your cell phones and laptops. But let me say this about like the cheating and plagiarism. It does not serve you. Like, for instance, there's really 2 stories. Most of my classes I've been telling one story or the other. But like, for instance, so one story is, I don't know how many times where I've had students, finish my course, right? They pass, they get out, they're like, they breathe a sigh of relief. They're like, good, I never have to look at mathematics again, right? And so they eventually, graduate from school and they get ready to start getting their first full-time jobs, and they put in applications. And so when they go in for the interview, the first thing that they give them on the interview, can you guess what they give them is the first thing at these interviews? The first thing they give them a lot of time is a math exam, right? So if you didn't do the work and you didn't submit it and you didn't learn anything from this experience, it's not going to serve you. You would have just wasted your time. Because then it's like, just because we're not doing a testing environment here, that doesn't mean that you're not going to find yourself in the testing environment where you're going to be responsible for this stuff. All you're going to have is like paper and pencil, maybe a calculator. It might happen this semester with that final exam. It potentially could happen there, or it could happen another time that's going to be crucial, right? So just don't waste your time. Try to learn something from all of this, but do what you need to do to get the stuff submitted on time. Okay, and then the other story was that for people that cheated, sometimes what happens is they cheat, they get the credit, they graduate, and they somehow get the job, right? But then, so they're building this life, and they have this job, they have the family, and they're earning a livelihood, and then it surfaces that they cheated. So then if they cheated in that course, that means they didn't really do it, or they don't know it, they didn't get credit for it. They don't have credit for it, that means they didn't qualify to graduate. So that if they didn't really graduate, then they don't really qualify for the job. So now they're trying to scramble and like trying to go back, now they're back here, right? And like it's like you can't escape it. You can't escape it. So the best thing is, to just try to maximize your experience now, do the best you can to get this information now so that, it doesn't block you in the future. The longer you run from this stuff, it's just a matter of time before it's going to pop up again. That's all that's going to happen, right? So it's just not worth it. I mean, it's not really necessary. You get unlimited attempts. It's only a 10% late penalty. If you actually just try, you can do it. Like anybody can do it, okay? And so the timing is actually pretty good. I was a little bit nervous. So this last page of the syllabus is a document saying that you've gone through the syllabus, you understand what's expected of you out of the course, and that you'll abide by the rules of the course. In the past, I would have the students fill this out, but for right now, you can fill it out and just keep it on file. I haven't created like a Dropbox for you guys to like, load PDFs or whatever. So you can just kind of keep it on file. I'll get that going a little bit later. So again, if you have questions, feel free to either unmute yourself or type in the chat. Let me check my waiting room really quickly to see if I have anybody there. You guys are looking awesome. I'm really proud of you guys. And there's a few other things we kind of need to bring to your attention. So if we go back to the main landing page on Blackboard and we open up our main folder, again, we talked about Alex with the lab component of this grade. That's 10% of your overall grade. So you want to click on that second link on the left-hand panel, contact Dr. Lamar, follow her instructions. That's going to count for 10% of your overall grade. You got past the first main hurdle of making your way into my Zoom, right? Again, everybody doesn't have that luxury. So, you've already gotten past one main hurdle. So as far as the homework assignments, this is item number 3 for My Math Lab. We're going to open up this folder. And again, homeworks are there in My Math Lab, and be sure to get the temporary access. Give us like about a week or so to see if we can reduce this price. But you want to definitely go ahead and make sure that you're getting access and getting your assignments submitted. And then the other piece of information, we talked about My Math Lab. So here's a link into my YouTube channel, this beautiful mind Phifer's YouTube channel. What this link takes you to is a playlist of all of our pre-recorded lectures. I'm going to create a second playlist. And what I'm going to do is basically dump all of my live sessions from this semester, from the fall of 23, for all of my classes universal for this semester. I'm going to create another playlist and put the playlist just below this one. So there's going to be 2 main playlists. This one is the one for the lectures. There'll be a second playlist for like these kind of sessions. So you can either sit in on this class, or if you want to watch a session with one of my other classes, you can watch that as well. Okay. And then once you start watching my pre-recorded lectures, you're going to see me like writing and taking notes on the screen. For a copy of those PDFs, I'm going to load those PDFs here into this item number 2 that says daily PowerPoint lecture slides box link, right? So when I start loading PDFs, I'm going to load them here. Okay. So that is the meat and potatoes of the course. So welcome to College Algebra 1 with Mr. Phifer. This is a remote asynchronous. So again, the main thing right now, your next goal is to go ahead and get your temporary access to My Math Lab and go ahead and submit that assignment for week 1 with the quiz. If you need to watch the corresponding lecture, the lecture is available on my YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, shameless plug. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So when I start responding to like students' questions, like if you're going through the homework and you get stuck, you click on that Ask My Instructor. It'll send a screenshot of your very question. It'll email it to me and you say, hey, Mr. Phifer, I've got stuck on this question. I can't figure it out. Can you show me how to do this? Then I'll make a dedicated responses and load it to my YouTube channel, right? So that's why, and so that way, as I start to load things to YouTube, you'll get the notifications. So definitely make sure that your notifications are turned on. And then you'll be like, oh, wait a minute, I had a question about that. Let me watch that video. Or let me watch that response. Or let me watch that short. Or, oh yeah, I remember that. That was easy. I keep it moving, right? So the alerts are there. So you're just aware. It's just about being aware of what I'm posting. And periodically I will post like gaming stuff just because, yeah. So my YouTube channel and the homework are the main things for right now. Are there any other burning questions before we go our separate ways? Going once, going twice, forever.
My main question is, how do I came in late because I was trying to find the link across the thing, and I don't know where to, like, I've never used Blackboard before, so I don't know where to take the test, take the quizzes. You said there are quizzes to take, and I don't know where in Blackboard I should go.
Are you able to access Blackboard?
Yeah, I can access it, but I don't know how to use it. That's the problem.
Okay, so when you log into our Blackboard course, right, this is what it should look like. well, you should be able to still see my screen. If we open up this main folder, right, and then go down to item number 3, it says assignments. So we open up this. That's how we access the homework, quizzes, and exams. It's all going to be right there. And then the lab component, the lab is a separate thing. That 10%, that's on the far left-hand side with the online Alex lab with Dr. Lamar. So that second item on the burgundy, that's how you do the lab. And this My Math Lab, that's for our homework, quizzes, and exams.
Okay, thank you. So media library is where I would go.
The main thing is that first link. If this also comes, like, once you get access to My Math Lab, it also comes with a bunch of like learning aids. Like some of them have videos. That's what all this other stuff is. And then there's a digital copy of the textbook, right? So you don't have to carry around a physical hard copy book. There's the digital book. So as long as you have your device and the internet connection, you can access a full digital copy of the book. But the main thing is that first link. Once you get access, everything is there. Yep. It's
Okay,
just that.
thank you.
Yep. Any other burning questions before we go our separate ways? Going once, going twice. Forever.
Wait, one more question. Is there an access code for Pearson?
No, that's a great question. No. The way you access Pearson is by this link that you see on my screen. So yeah. Actually, sorry. Let me back up. There's no course ID for Pearson. The way you access it is through this My Math Lab, this link that you see at the top of the screen. The access code, you do have to purchase access, but for right now, when you're prompted for payment to purchase access, you want to get the temporary access at the bottom of the screen, right? It's going to be a link at the bottom of the screen that says get 14 days of temporary access. You want to click on that, and once you click on that, it's going to take you here, and you want to definitely go ahead and get started on section 1.1 homework and quiz, those first 2 items. If you need the lecture, the link to my YouTube, you can either use that link at the very bottom where it says Professor Phifer's YouTube channel, all lectures, or on Blackboard, you can use the link that says Beautiful Mind Phifer's lecture recordings, right? If you need the lecture. Okay, yeah, this is good. Any other questions? So again, to recap or reiterate, there's no course ID. You access it using that item number 3, but you purchase an access code. But for right now, get the 14 days of temporary access because we're trying to negotiate to reduce the price. In the past, the full access cost about $120. But go ahead and get the 14 days free trial. Give us like about a week or so because we might be able to get that price reduced below $120. These are good questions. Any other questions before we go our separate ways? One once, one twice. Forever hold your P's in. Right. So, okay. Real quick recap. The main thing for you all for right now is to get your temporary access to My Math Lab and go ahead and get started on those first 2 assignments. If you need the lectures, also go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on your notifications. So gain access to My Math Lab with the temporary access, and go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel with your notifications turned on. If there aren't any burning questions, we're going to go ahead and end the session here. And from one beautiful mind to another, enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. I'll see you again Monday, same time, same place. Take care. Peace.
Thank you.
A pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. We'll be. Ooh.